Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. My name is Ray Petree. I'm a columnist for the Sportster and the Augusta Free Press. I'm joined once again by my co-host, my tag team partner, the Arn Anderson to my Tully Blanchard, JDO Double G. How's it going, sir?
Going good, man. Going good.
We have a fun episode today, a preview of AEW Revolution. Quite frankly, this is the most excited I've been for a wrestling pay-per-view in a long, long time. There's just so many great matches on this card, so many feuds culminating on this event, um, which is kind of amazing because we didn't have a pay-per-view in January. We had Grand Slam in February, but it's only been since World's End that we haven't had a pay-per-view, which I guess for 2 months is sort of long now in AEW's pay-per-view cycle, but not very long, and still there's so many great feuds culminating at this show. So many great matches. The pay-per-view's $50. I always say you get what you pay for with an AEW pay-per-view, but this one in particular really excites me. So we're going to talk about all the matches, some longer than others, because some of them were, I think, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds already, but some of these were a little hastily put together, while others have had months. Some matches have had over a year of build-up. Um, Jordan, let's start with the Women's World Championship. Toni Storm defending her title against Mariah May. This feud, I mean, what can you say, man? This has been incredible, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this has been one of the marquee feuds in AEW period between these two. Going back several months. Um, with Toni Storm being gone for a while and Mariah May being the champion, then she comes back, she wins the title in Australia, and since then it's just continued to where now we have the third match for the trilogy, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun.
Mariah May came into AEW last January, was teaming with Toni Storm for a while, acting as her protege to the Hollywood starlet that Toni Storm has been in over the last year and a half. Um, that relationship ended last June at the culmination of the Owen Hart Cup. Ryan May won the Owen Hart Cup, betrayed Toni Storm, challenged her all in the first match. I believe it opened the show, and Ryan May won the championship, ending Toni Storm's 280 odd day reign, um, somewhere in that range. Ryan May's championship reign, we've talked about it at length, ad nauseum on this show. It was a little underwhelming. It wasn't much of a reign. She wasn't on TV a lot live. She did a lot of backstage segments, not a lot of matches. She missed quite a few pay-per-views. And then Toni Storm returned, had amnesia, we thought, pretended that she was a rookie, works her way up, wins the first Casino Women's Gauntlet match, earns that shot at Grand Slam, reveals that she's been cognizant the entire time, remembered who she was, became Timeless Toni Storm again, culminating in a fantastic match at Grand Slam that main evented the show in Australia, winning the title back. So now here we are, the trilogy. Um, Build is the Hollywood ending. It's a Falls Count Anywhere match. Jordan, do you think the title's changing hands again? Or do you think Timeless Tony Storm's going to continue to hold this belt for the foreseeable future?
I definitely don't think it's going to change hands um, at Revolution. I don't see the point why they would do that. Um, I think it would kind of kill a lot of the momentum that this feud has given both of them. Um, and while I was kind of hoping that Mariah May would be able to retain the title back at Grand Slam, since they did have Toni Storm win it, I don't think it would make sense for her to win it back again. Um, I think it would benefit the women's division a lot if they had Toni Storm defended against somebody else. Um, and especially because they've kind of promoted this as like the Hollywood ending, like this is the third match of the trilogy. If they give it back to Mariah May, then Toni Storm, they're going to have her circle back around and I'm sure win it again. Um, and I don't think that would be advantageous to anybody. So I think it would be it would be best for them to Toni Storm to retain, have her move on to, you know, feud with somebody else, give another woman on the roster a chance because they have a lot of really good contenders right now. And then for Mariah May, she can go off and do something else that's not Toni Storm related, which I think would help her out.
Mhm.
And then if you want to later on down the line, you can circle back to this. Um, but for this particular match, I think it's going to be Toni Storm retaining it.
They had a sit down segment for Renee Paquette on Dynamite this week. And I wrote my review this week. It wasn't a hit, it wasn't a home run, it was a grand slam. It was a 10 out of 10 segment. Mariah May losing the plot figuratively, literally, going crazy. Toni Storm said, "You don't deserve the dignity of death," you know? Then both saying at the same time, pray for her. I'm very excited for this match. I think this may be the greatest feud in AEW history in terms of the scope. I think the foresight that these two women have had and the caliber of matches once it's all said and done. I got to go with you. I'm going to predict Toni Storm to win this, retain this title. She's already talked about and sort of issued an open challenge to the women's division. There's a lot of women who have not held this world championship yet. A lot of women have held it multiple times. And I think once we're out of this feud, there's a lot of directions they could go because there's a lot of women right now who are getting pushed really far. And I think Toni Storm's a woman to steer the ship in the right direction and send this into, a new era for the women's division. So I'm going to go Toni Storm. Before we continue, I was thinking about mentioning the betting lines for these matches, courtesy of Bet Online. But if you gamble on wrestling, I have a number for you to call. So I'm not going to mention any of that. Um, you could probably guess who the favorites are in most of these matches.
Yeah.
Uh, moving on, we have Swerve Strickland versus Ricochet. This is for this is going to determine the number one contender for the AEW World Championship. Now, I have a bone to pick with that because I don't feel like either of these men are deserving of the number one contender spot. Swerve has won a couple of matches, but they've been squash matches. And I understand, like, logistically, winning a match is winning a match, like for your ranking. But he lost to Hangman Page. Now, granted, it was a lights out match; it didn't matter. Then he lost to Bobby Lashley. I also understand the argument that that was last year, and technically that doesn't matter in the ratings anymore, according to the canon of AEW. But he's beating Clark Connors. He lost to Ricochet in Atlanta. I mean, I don't know, but anyways, determine the number one contenders match. Uh, Jordan, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 stars, what do you think this? How great do you think this match is going to be? Just in terms of the in-ring quality.
Um, I don't know. It's hard to say just because I'm not sure how. Like, I think the match itself is going to be good because both guys are pretty good wrestlers. Um, as far as like kind of the interest in it, I don't really know how that's going to be. Because it is kind of weird that this is for the number one contenders title, like you said, when like neither guy's really been involved in the world title picture. Obviously, Swerve's a former champion, but he's that was quite a while ago. So I don't really understand why they decided for this to be for the number one contenders contendership. Because to me that kind of paints Swerve being the almost lock winner because
Hmm.
even though Ricochet has kind of been doing some stuff differently with his character and the things that he does and says, he's not a world champion to me.
Hmm.
Because I can't see it. So yeah, I think, and especially the fact that Ricochet's beaten Swerve before, I think that pretty much almost guarantees that Swerve's going to win this. So as far as answering the question, I don't know, like maybe a two and a half.
Um, I agree with you. I think Swerve's gonna. Well, here's my other question. Do you think Prince Nana is going to betray Swerve Strickland and turn heel? Because you have to think one of the factors in this is that Ricochet has the robe. He told Swerve if Swerve loses, he's retiring. When Swerve lost that tag match at the end of Dynamite this week, Nana turned his back on Swerve. Do you think we're getting a heel turn from Nana and he's going to help Ricochet win this match?
Um, I mean, I maybe, but again, I'm thinking kind of down the road with it. You make Ricochet the number one contender, then you're going to have, Ricochet versus Moxley. I mean, is that what you're going to do? If, which we'll talk about that match later, but
Yeah, yeah.
I know people are a little bit higher on Ricochet now because he's been obviously a little more, uh, a little more personality has been showing, but
Mhm.
I can't see them letting Ricochet be the number one contender. It just doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, maybe Presnada will turn on him. That's probably the only way I could see him beating Swerve.
Mhm.
Um, but in the end, I think maybe it'll happen down the line. But I would say Swerve, I think, still going to win the match.
Um, while the while the analyst in me says Nana turns heel and helps Ricochet win this, I think Swerve will win this. I think we're starting to get to a point where Tony Khan's really trying to find a core of guys he can continue building this company around because I think it's been in way too many different directions over the last few years. I think he's trying to stick to a select group of people. I think Swerve's one of those guys. I'll take Swerve Strickland. Next match for the International Championship, Konosuke Takeshita versus Kenny Omega. Konosuke Takeshita last year at All In and All Out, not last year, 2 years ago, I guess, 2023. He beat Kenny Omega twice in the span of 6 days. Kenny Omega unfortunately didn't last much longer physically. He developed diverticulitis during his feud with the Young Bucks, and he was forced to leave wrestling for over a year. Um, Kenny looking to recover those losses, try to beat Takeshita. Like I said, the title is on the line. What do you think, Jordan?
I think for me personally, this is probably the safest lock I could make on the show, or at least one of them, as far as who I think is going to win. It just makes too much sense for Kenny Omega to win this match. The international title has really not been that interesting or important in the grand scheme of things. Now, I like Takeshita a lot, and that's nothing against him. I just think the way he's been booked and the title's been booked has really not been that great. So yeah, I think Kenny Omega is going to win this. It'll obviously give Kenny a win, get his revenge against Takeshita, and it'll also add some prestige to the international championship, and maybe give AEW a reason down the line when he seems like inevitably faces Okada that maybe they could unify those titles and try to cut down on some of the championships that they have. So to me, this one just it makes too much sense for Kenny Omega to win.
Um, let's talk about that because I think a lot of fans for a while now, including myself, have argued that they need to unify the Continental and the international titles. I think we have too many mid-card titles to the point where it's diluted the value of each one of them. It used to just be one. It used to just be the TNT Championship, and then we introduced it was the All Atlantic Championship, now the International Championship, and then it was the Continental Championship, the which is the trophy, essentially the trophy that's awarded to the winner of the Continental Classic, and then they can go on and defend it throughout the year. Um, and not only has that been a conversation amongst fans, but recently, if you were to believe Dirt Sheet reporting, sounds like there's internally conversations going around if they should do that. And listen, let's be honest. We all expect Omega and Okada to happen at All in Texas. Now, that's not just conjecture. When they showed them link up at World's End, in the background was the All In sign. And I mean, unless I'm to believe that the cameramen don't know what they're doing, I think that was intentional. So, like you said, I think if we're to talk about upsets on this show, this is probably, and I say upsets as in the champion losing the title. I think this might be the most likely option here. My question to you is Takeshita Omega. Listen, Omega, if you're paying for wrestling, Omega's going to deliver. Guaranteed. We're talking Amazon, next day shipping, deliver, lock it. Takeshita, one of the best, most sensational, electrifying performers alive. Are we going to get a 5-star match, Jordan? Do you think this is going to live up to our expectations?
Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a really, really good match. On the Meltzer scale, who knows? It might be 6, 7 stars by the end of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Omega obviously is just tremendous, tremendous wrestler. Takeshita, same thing, just tremendous wrestler. Um, so yeah, I think this being on a pay-per-view, this being for a title, it's gonna be definitely an electrifying match for sure.
Next, I think this goes hand in hand. Kazuchika Okada defending his Continental Championship against Brody King. I want to keep this brief. At first, and kind of immediately, what sticks out to me is, does this match belong on a pay-per-view? Talking about a show with 9 matches. Is this necessary? I don't know, but we just talked about them unifying the international and the continental. I almost want to say intercontinental, the international and the continental titles at All In, Omega versus Okada. Now, I ask you this: do you think AEW is working the sheets, and this is all a ruse, and Brody King's going to upset Okada at Revolution this year?
Um, I will say no for the reasons why I just said that I think they're going to unify the titles. I think you would have Omega and Okada do that. Um, but I will also say that they've been high on Brody King lately. They repackaged him and Buddy Matthews, Julia Hart as the Hounds of Hell, and I mean, what better way to really push Brody King to the moon, have him beat Okada for the Continental title? Um, and I think it might be good for Okada to lose the title because he's just kind of been floating around, not really doing anything significant other than just defending against random people.
Mhm.
But I think they're going to continue to build towards Omega and Okada. So that's where I think they'll go with it. Um, but yeah, I mean, it would definitely be shocking for me if Brody King won it, but at the same time, not so shocking because they've been pretty high on him lately.
Mhm. Brody King's interesting because he's a guy that I think really he's forgettable in a way, and that speaks to the quality of the talent in AEW more so than himself. But then you watch him live, or you just watch him on TV, and we had the chance to watch him in December at Holiday Bash. Dude's sensational in the ring. Like hard not to like the guy. Very hard not to like the in-ring work. Um, so it would be cool to see him upset Okada. It'd be a big moment for him. He's given a lot of himself to AEW and done a lot of favors, let's be honest, done a lot of jobs. But I don't think Okada is losing at this juncture. I think we're saving this for All In because that's the show of the year. Um, Next up, the AEW World Tag Team Championship is on the line. The Hurt Syndicate will be defending it against the Outrunners, the youngest men alive. Turbo Floyd, Truth Magnum. Um, these guys are a sensation. The fans love them. At the same time, they're also sort of a meme because it's not like they're FTR in the ring. They're good, but they're not they're not great. They just have a really great gimmick. They are very entertaining, very exciting. Definitely get the endorphins pumping. But is that enough to beat Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, Jordan?
No, it is not. And if I I thought about this for a brief second. I'm like, the Outrunners are so popular. They have that charisma. They have the fans behind them. Um, I mean, there was even like a video of them in like a locker room for I think it was a basketball team
Yeah.
somewhere, and they were hyping them up. So I mean, they're all over. But I mean, it's come on, man, it's the Hurt Syndicate. Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin. I mean, they built these guys up to look like monsters. So the Outrunners obviously great gimmick, but I think they're gonna. I think the Hurt Syndicate's gonna toss these guys around like rag dolls, um, and continue on their reign as tag team champions.
Yeah, the Outrunners went to, I think it was the University of Omaha, and they were in the locker room and they did like an elbow drop on a trash can.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, they have, I think so often AEW has had these kind of ethereal teams that have captured something with the fans. And in a lot of cases, they just haven't pulled the trigger at the right time.
Yeah,
And I think you can argue that this is one of those instances, but also they had a chance when they faced Private Party in that four-way match at Full Gear, and they didn't do it then either. So why am I to
yeah,
believe that this is any different? In fact, I think they were hotter then than they are now.
yeah,
Um, the Hurt Syndicate, man, are like the Steiners or Big Bad and Dangerous or the Road Warriors. They have a quality about them that when a team finally does beat them, it will be their assumption. Like you can make a team by having them beat the Hurt Syndicate.
yeah,
But the Hurt Syndicate have to have the titles for a while to make that happen.
yeah.
And I'm sure at another podcast at a later date, I'll share my opinion of what that'll look like. But for now, I'm going to say the Hurt Syndicate retain this title. Um, Also because Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin are awesome.
Yeah.
They're so fun to watch. And even though
Oh
they're
yeah,
heels, people still love them.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if whenever the Hurt Syndicate does lose those titles, it would only be if they have aspirations for both of those guys to win singles titles.
Yeah.
Like when you have that plan in place, then you can have them lose and put over another tag team and move on to bigger and better things. But for now, yeah, I think they're gonna beat the crap out of these guys.
Yeah. I think they're going to kill them on TV. Next match, the TBS Women's Championship. Mercedes Moné defending her title against Momo Watanabe. Momo Watanabe won the International Women's Cup at Wrestle Dynasty. It was a four women fatal four-way match, and each woman represented their respective company. It was Persephone from CMLL. It was Athena from Ring of Honor, Willow Nightingale from AEW, and Momo Watanabe. Momo won that match via interference from Thekla, her fellow stablemate in Stardom. Momo is a former Wonder of Stardom Championship, which is the secondary title there, and she was a prolific champion. Not really a world championship caliber wrestler. It's probably why she chose TBS Women's Champion Mercedes Moné. Um, these two have wrestled before. Mercedes Moné got the better of her in that contest. I don't think this is going to be any different. What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, I don't expect Mercedes to lose. I'll be honest, I don't know a ton about Momo Watanabe. So that'll skew my opinion of this a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Mercedes obviously she's undefeated since she's been in AEW, and Momo's not a part of the AEW roster, so I can't imagine they're going to let her win one of their marquee women's titles. Um, so I think it's going to be a good match. Um, but at the end of the day, I think Mercedes is going to retain.
Mercedes Moné now, let's look. I don't want to throw a wrong number out here. Um, she is 18 and 0 since arriving in AEW.
Yeah,
Probably going to be 19 and 0 after this. She's announced for Rev Pro High Stakes 2025. I think she's going to be at a New Japan Strong show soon, defending her New Japan Strong Women's Championship. Um, and I think they're going to take this winning streak as long as they can and let her, I think they're gonna play it up. Um, and listen, all the companies who she's representing right now are benefiting from her representing them because she's one of the biggest women's stars in wrestling. I don't care what the ratings say. She has crossover appeal in entertainment, in wrestling, in sports. So, I think this is going to be a great match. I'll put that. I think this is going to be a really great match. I think she's going to win it pretty handedly. And, move on to probably a feud with Athena, what it seems like right now. Um, Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. This is a steel cage match and also the culmination of a trilogy of matches. The first one was at Full Gear. The second was at World's End. And here we are at Revolution. Currently, these guys are tied up 1-1. Uh, Fletcher won the first match, although, that was a match where Ospreay had neck issues and was, couldn't feel his arms. Second match was at World's End in the semifinals of the Continental Classic. A great match. I think Dave Meltzer said it was the best opener to a pay-per-view ever, which is probably indulging in a little hyperbole. But anyways, I go back to the 5-star match scale. Jordan, you think we're getting a 5-star match from this?
Oh yeah, I think definitely the first two matches have been great between these two. And I don't expect this one to be any different. Uh, especially since there's no real like, there's nothing that there's going to be any issues with either guy. Obviously you talked about the first one, Ospreay had the issues with his neck, and the next one he got busted open and was bleeding all throughout the match. Um, so yeah, I think this will be the best of the three. Um, and as far as who comes out on top, it's tough. I feel like it's probably going to be Kyle Fletcher because I feel like he needs it more. I don't, and obviously I love Ospreay, and Ospreay is a guy who I feel like is going to be a future world champion. Um, but for how this feud has gone and what they're really trying to do with Kyle Fletcher, him losing to Ospreay, to me it would kind of kill the momentum he's built up. So I think it'll probably be Fletcher pulling this one out.
I want to say Fletcher came out on Dynamite this week. Guy's always in great shape. Don't get me wrong, but on this particular day, he looked insane. Like we're talking like by the day, this guy looks more and more like Randy Orton circa 2009, 2006, maybe even. Like he just looks, he's shredded. Like
Yeah,
he constantly gets bigger somehow, even though he's already 26 years old.
yeah.
Really impressive.
Well, it looks even better than Randy than like Randy back then, like '09. He was pretty skinny. Like he was he
Shredded, yeah.
was shredded, but he like Fletcher's just big.
He is a big
He
guy, yeah.
he's big, and now he's cut. So yeah,
Yeah.
he looks insane.
So all the credit to him and his personal development and the work he's put in, because you can tell, I mean, it shows. And he pops off the screen as a guy like that guy looks like a professional wrestler. Um, and Will Ospreay did get dropped on his shoulders. That they said that he broke his collarbone probably from that brain buster onto a chair Kyle Fletcher gave him on Dynamite.
Yeah,
So it's not like Ospreay's going to go into this match fully healthy. He's going to have a crucible to carry, but I still think Will Ospreay is going to win this. I think, like you said, I think Will Ospreay is a future world champion, and when I say future, I'm thinking Forbidden Doors in London this year. It's probably going to be in the O2. I think that all signs point to it being in a not in a stadium, but in an arena. And I think Ospreay is going to win the title there. I really do. I think
yeah,
if not then when? And
yeah,
if not this year, then I mean his contract not forever. You know what I mean? So I think it's
yeah,
going to be Ospreay winning this. I think it's going to be like a 4.5, 5-star match. I really do. I think these guys are going to get a lot of color. Um, my the match I'm the most excited for, the match that I think real AEW fans have been waiting for now for 4 years. Hangman Adam Page versus MJF. There's no stipulation to this match. Somehow this is not to determine the number one contender for the world championship. These are just two guys that seem to genuinely hate each other. So much so that on Dynamite this week, MJF tried to set Hangman on fire, try to burn him alive. Um, I cannot contain my excitement for this. This show could have been 5 matches, and if this were the main event, I still would want to pay $50 for it. I'm so excited to see these two lock up. I don't care that it's probably not going to be the athletic exhibition that Omega Takeshita or Ospreay Fletcher or Strickland Ricochet will be. I think this is going to be the match of the night. Jordan, who do you think is going to win this?
It's tough, man. It really is tough because I could see both either guy winning this. This it gives off that like Austin Rock type of feel. And I'm not obviously not trying to compare either one of these guys to either of them, but um it just has that feel to it. Just two of the biggest marquee names in AEW going at it. One being the baby face, the anti-hero baby face, MJF being the heel, the dastardly heel. And I feel like it'll probably be MJF, because I think he probably could use it a little more. Um, but then again, it's tough to say because if you have MJF win it, are you going to have him go up against a heel champion? Unless maybe we'll have a title change, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But I'm going to say probably MJF.
Mm.
I think he's been on a downturn. I think he needs to win more. But I could see it going either way. I am fully prepared to be wrong because I have no clue who could win this match. Um, but I will say it'll probably be MJF this time.
Do you think this is a one-off, or do you think this is a long-term feud that's gonna go until maybe even All in Texas?
If they're smart, they'll keep it going.
Yeah.
Now they've made dumb decisions before, so who knows? But I don't, that's one of the things about WWE that they have all those big stars and they have big name versus big name most of the time. AEW, I think you have your two biggest names, have them feud for a while.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be one time. You don't have to jump from one thing to the next from show to show. You can have these guys feud for a while.
Yeah.
This has been some of the best television AEW's done in quite a while. And it's because you have people like Hangman and MJF, confronting each other. So if they're smart about it, I think that this will be a long-term feud. I hope it's not a one-off.
I'm gonna I'm gonna I'm gonna operate under the assumption that this is a long-term feud, that these two are gonna be going after it for a little while, maybe even uh, I'm gonna say maybe even more than two pay-per-views. Um, if they're smart, that's what they're gonna do, I think, because like the list of dream feuds for AEW is very small because they have had so many feuds already because things last pretty much one pay-per-view cycle. And this is probably the last dream feud I can really think of, maybe other than Hangman Page versus Will Ospreay, and maybe Swerve Strickland versus MJF in terms of like things I really want to see that have not happened yet. I think if this is just a one and done, I think that's a huge mistake. So normally MJF, series of matches, he usually wins the first one. So I'm going to go with MJF on this. I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be a clean win. Um, And I don't necessarily even think this match is going to be very long. But I do think MJF's going to win, probably via nefarious means, a low blow or a foreign object, a dynamite diamond ring. I don't know, but I think he's going to win this. And I'll tell you what I'd like to see. I'd like to see this go to Double or Nothing, and I'd like to see it go to All in Texas and be a Texas death match. That's what I want to see.
I
So
would
we'll
like
see
to.
what happens. Huh?
I would like to see this be for the title eventually
I would too. I
down the
love that.
line. That's why I was saying I think this should be long term. Even if they feud for a little bit and then they break off, do something else, then come back
Yeah.
to face each other again once the world title can be involved in it. I think that would be great. So that's what I would eventually like to see this turn into.
Totally agree. I think these guys could feud on and off for the next 10 years, and I would enjoy probably every bit of it because I think These are arguably the two best wrestlers alive, top to bottom, all things considered, all facets of wrestling. I think these two guys excel in all the subtleties of wrestling as well as anyone in the business today. So, yeah, I'm excited for this. I haven't said that 5 times already. That leaves us with our main event, I presume. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is the main event. Jon Moxley defending the AEW World Heavyweight Championship against the Rated R superstar Adam Copeland. Um, Jordan, I have a few prop bets for you I want to consider. Um, Last year at Double or Nothing, Copeland came out to a song from Slayer. Do you think he's going to use a special entrance theme for this pay-per-view match, or do you think it's going to be Metalingus?
Um, I think it'll be Metalingus.
Okay.
I think yeah, it's hard to tell what they're going to do with Cope as far as the you know special things they might do for his entrance, but I don't think they would. I think it'll be just Metalingus. But yeah, it's not. I'm not really sure what how they're going to do that.
My other prop bet, and this is just fun, just throwing this out there. Does he bring Tony Chimel out as a special ring announcer? They've been playing up that
um,
his name is the Rated R Superstar. I mean, it's in his name now. It's not just a nickname.
yeah, I mean, I guess if there were ever a time for them to do it, should be in a World Heavyweight Championship match. So yeah, if they're going to do it, then I think this would be the perfect time to do that.
Okay. Now the real questions. Adam Copeland and Jay White have eliminated all of the Death Riders. Pac, Claudio Castagnoli, and Marina Shafir all got concertoed out of the building. He beat Wheeler Yuta on Dynamite. And let's be honest, he sowed a seed of doubt in Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta turned his back on Jon Moxley. Have we been deceived? Has Adam Copeland been deceived? Is Wheeler Yuta going to turn up in this match and help Jon Moxley? I'm not saying necessarily to win, but will he return? I don't want to get to the prediction yet, but will he return and assist Jon Moxley? Or do you think Wheeler Yuta's done?
Um, it's it's kind of hard for me to say because I don't care at all about Wheeler Yuta, so it's hard for me to really have him involved in this in a significant way. But uh, I feel like it would make more sense for them if they had Wheeler Yuta come out, act like he's going to turn on him, and then still help Moxley. Um, because I mean, if you turn Wheeler Yuta to a babyface, I mean, what's he going to do? He's like, what really is he going to do outside of this group that he's been in with Moxley? So I don't really see it.
Um, Wheeler's weird because in my mind he wrestles like a baby face. I mean, he basically just stole Bryan Danielson's moveset. You know what I mean? And I know, like, oh, that's not moveset. That's not popular. I don't care.
Yeah.
He stole his moveset. I mean, he uses the cattle mutilation. He uses the Busaiku knee. He wrestles like a technical babyface. I mean, I guess you could say, I mean, a heel can do that, but and it's easy to not like him for a lot of reasons that are both by design and not. But I don't know. I agree with you there, though. I guess. I mean, like, I think conventionally, I'm imagining that he's going to come out and make it seem like it's going to hurt Moxley and he's going to help him. My second question: Jay White answered Max Caster's open challenge on Dynamite, which, quick aside, a great gimmick. The who can survive the best wrestler alive, and they come out and they just beat Max Caster's behind. I love it. But Jay White said that he's going to ensure that come Revolution, there will be a new champion, and his name is Adam Copeland. That's not verbatim, but I'm not saying the abbreviated name. Is Jay White going to turn heel on Moxley? I mean, I'm sorry, turn heel on Adam Copeland and join Moxley. I'm sorry.
Uh, I don't think he's going to join up with Moxley, but I think he will turn on Adam Copeland.
Oh, that's good. I didn't even that's good, Jordan.
Yeah,
Dive into that
because
real quick.
yeah, I think that Jay White is he's a tremendous wrestler. To me, he's better as a heel.
Mhm.
Just the way he acts, his mannerisms, everything. I think he's better as a heel. Um, and yeah, I think he wants to be world champion. I don't see why he would want to really help Adam Copeland win the title. So and obviously he doesn't. He's more of that of like a lone wolf type of person. Out, obviously he was with um,
Bang Bang
the
Gang.
Bang Bang Gang. Yeah,
Don't want you to
um,
mess that up.
yeah. I don't want to mess that up. He was with them, and with that group. But since those guys have been gone, he's been really just lone wolfing it, and I think that's better for him. I think it helps him shine better as a single to do that, and I think it would help him a lot overall if he were to turn back to being a bad guy, turn on Copeland, and then get his own shot at the world championship.
Um, Christian Cage has this Casino Gauntlet contract. He's had it since All In when he won it, and he's tried to cash it in multiple times. Wasn't exactly advantageous for him to do so. Um, I guess this kind of goes hand in hand with what you think is going to happen at the end. Do you think Moxley's going to retain this title, or do you think AEW's given up on the Death Riders? Do you think it's time for Adam Copeland? Because Adam Copeland, he doesn't have to be champion for long. He can just be a reset because he is 51 years old. Still a big star. Clearly, I think you see the reaction he got in Australia, and it's obvious the fans still love him. I really love him a lot. Is he the guy that gives this title a reset, or are we still going to keep riding this Death Riders thing as long as we can? What do you think? Then
Um,
we'll touch on the Christian part of this.
I know you and I have both talked about how tired we are of the Death Riders. Though, it had potential when it first started, but for whatever reason, whether it's the bad booking, whether it's, bad execution, whatever you want to say about it, it's been pretty bad. It's been pretty uninteresting. It's universally been pretty disliked by the fan base.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it would because I don't see anybody down the line who you could have beat him for it that would you know make more sense, be better as opposed to them just throwing somebody. I mean, like we talked about earlier with Swerve. I mean, Swerve beating Moxley. I mean, I guess that could make sense. Swerve's obviously he's very popular,
Mhm.
former champion, so that could make sense. But I think it would be a cool moment for Copeland to win the title. Um, and yeah, give a reset to this whole thing because it's just because the Death Riders thing's kind of gone off the rails at this point. Um, so yeah, I think it would help a lot if they were to just let Copeland win it, just transition into something else, some other angle they want to go with for the world title. But yeah, I think it would help a lot.
Um, so if Copeland wins it, does Christian immediately cash in and beat his friend for the title?
I mean, if not now, then when?
Yeah.
I mean, what other way would it make sense for him to? I mean, I don't want him to do it,
hmm Neither
but
do I. Neither do I.
I mean, I don't really want Christian to be world champion, and it's not that I don't like Christian. Christian's obviously great. He's a great bad guy, but I and it kind of goes back to the issue of them just letting old guys involved in everything.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of been a problem that people have been pointing out when you have other guys you could have involved in the world title picture. So I would rather it Cope would just win the title and just be the champion for whatever amount of short time he would be champion. But I mean, Christian's got this contract, so unless he's gonna cash in and then not win the title, I mean, what other way is he gonna cash it in? I mean, he's got history with Copeland, obviously. Um,
Sure. To say the least, yes.
so yeah, to say the least, he's got history. You know, I don't really want to see them feud again because they did that before, but I don't see another time when he could do it and it would make sense.
Do you think this is an avenue for Christian to turn babyface? Because it would be pretty cool to see Christian and Adam Copeland as a group again down the line. I mean, I don't know. If okay, I'll say this. If these guys are both 51 years old, time is of the essence. I mean, it's not like these guys, like, God forbid they have another 3, 4 years left in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Clock is winding down. I hope we're at the 11th hour.
yeah,
I'd like to see them as a tag team before they go. Maybe not for long, maybe in some kind of special capacity, but I want to see these guys in a tag team match before they retire.
yeah.
Is this the avenue for them to begin down that road? Or I don't know. I mean, are we both sold on Copeland winning this? I mean, are we undermining Moxley here?
I'm not guaranteeing anything. To me, I feel like I was going into this really thinking Moxley would retain it.
Uh-huh.
Um, just because I don't I don't know if because obviously Tony Khan listens to the chatter around what's going on with wrestling with AEW.
Uh-huh.
And I know that it's been a talking point with people that a lot of the world title picture is older WWE guys,
Yeah.
and that's been a point of contention for people, myself included. I think they have a lot of good young talent who could be world champions, and I'd rather see them in the title picture. But
Yeah.
um, based on what we have to go with, I think Moxley retaining wouldn't surprise me. Um, but it's like I think we'll get a decent indication based on who wins Swerve versus Ricochet.
Hmm.
Because if Ricochet wins, you going to have Moxley versus Ricochet for the world title? Is that are you going to have Ricochet versus Christian Cage for the world title? I mean, that to me, I think might be kind of a little bit of an indicator of what they might go with.
Yeah.
Um, and then if Swerve wins, then obviously that opens up some more possibilities.
Yeah.
Um, but right now I'm going to go with Moxley retaining because I think it would be better for the company if somebody else were to beat him down the line. And I think him winning again would, while people obviously wouldn't like it, I think it would make when he eventually loses it that much bigger.
I think last year's Double or Nothing pay-per-view, the main event was Christian Cage versus Swerve Strickland. So if we were to get back there, although obviously the roles reversed, Christian with the title and Swerve challenging, that would be hilarious. And not in a good way, like a laugh at you
Yeah,
kind of way. Like, what are you
yeah,
guys doing? I don't know. I On one hand, I think, God, this moment with Adam Copeland winning the title, his 12th world championship, could be so magical, could be so incredible. And then, but Christian Cage is just cashing it in and ruining that moment
yeah,
would sully it. But also, Christian Cage has given so much to AEW. He has taken so many losses for this title.
yeah,
I mean, he lost to Kenny twice, I think. He lost to Swerve.
yeah,
He's just given so much. It would be cool to see him finally earn this title.
yeah,
I don't know. Um, I think Mox is going to win this, and I think he's going to beat the hell out of both Adam Copeland and Christian Cage.
okay,
I mean, you didn't like his promo on Dynamite this week. I loved it. I think, yeah, Copeland eliminated the Death Riders. Moxley won the title 3 times without anyone's help. He didn't need the Death Riders then. Why does he need them now?
yeah.
That's what he's trying to
No, I
get
mean,
across. I have these bars around me, but it's not to keep you from me. It's to keep me from you.
yeah,
I'm the one true king. I'm the one who's the most dangerous man in AEW.
yeah.
You
I
know,
think it would. Yeah, I think it would definitely make a lot of sense for him to win it, and it would kind of remind me of uh times in the past in wrestling where you've had heels where you have the champion and you have his entourage around him, and all of those people are for whatever reason, whether they get taken out or whether they're banned from ringside or whatever, it's just the champion, and you're like, okay, now he's going to get his. Now
yeah,
he has to do this on his own, and he does it, and he prevails. So I think it would track with that it's like, hey, this guy's a former world champion, like you said, 3-time champion before this. So I think that would it would go a long way in having him if he beats Copeland and then Christian comes out, tries to cash in, and he beats Christian too. I think John Moxley could come out of this looking like just a monster. Even though I don't like him, but
Yeah.
for the sake of him being the champion and for the person down the line who eventually dethrones him, it would do wonders for him.
All right, Jordan, final prediction.
Final prediction, I'm going with John Moxley
Okay.
winning, and then either Christian doesn't try to cash in at all, or he tries to cash in and Moxley beats him too.
That would be that would be quite the way to end the show for Moxley.
Yeah, maybe Christian tries to cash in and Copeland stops him,
Yeah.
or he foils it and Christian loses the title shot, and then you know I guess you could circle back to those two facing each other if you wanted to, but
My last two questions on the matter of Revolution. First, what match are you most excited for? And the second question, if they are different, maybe they're the same, what match do you think will steal the show?
um, the match I'm most looking forward to is Hangman and MJF. Um, Pretty easy for me. The match that I think is going to steal the show probably is going to be, I'll say Omega and Takeshita. And there's a couple of matches that I was throwing back and forth at what I think was going to be the match of the show, but um, I think because you get the combination of Kenny and Takeshita wrestling as they haven't wrestled in a while. You have the championship changing hands potentially, um, and then you just have two of the best wrestlers in the company right now going against each other, and Omega and Takeshita. So I think that one will be the match of the night.
I agree with you. I think that well, the match I'm the most excited for is Hangman and MJF, and I think they're going to steal the show. I think you have a lot of, like I said, Swerve, Ricochet, Ospreay, Fletcher, Takeshita, Omega. I think people are going to peg those matches as the ones to watch. I would even, I think if this were a different show, I think Mercedes and Watanabe could really, I mean, I think they could really go out there and steal the show. I just think MJF and Hangman got it. They have it in spades, and it's not gonna be the most athletic competition, but I think the psychology is gonna be there. I think it's gonna really, I think it's gonna really be great. Um, I'm excited for the show. I can't say that enough. I mean, you're looking at 5 to 6, maybe 7 or even 8 matches on this show. I think really everything besides Okada and Brody King is going to be like 3 and 3/4 stars or better. I think some of these matches are going to maybe not shine as brightly as they would otherwise because this show is going to be so incredibly stacked. And AW has the potential to do this on any given show because they have the names. It's all a matter of putting top guys against top guys and letting them do their thing. And I think if they can continue doing this as the year goes by, with all the great pay-per-views they have lined up already, I think this could be a great year for AEW and a return to form from what they were maybe a few years ago. Um, I want to get into one more thing before we go really quickly. Let's call this a bonus round. On Monday Night Raw this week, Iyo Sky upset the world. And Jordan, Rhea Ripley's #1 fan, beat her for the Women's World Championship. Jordan, what is your reaction to? I mean, last week on the show, you said that of all the possibilities, you did want to see Iyo Sky in the match. You wanted
That
to
is not
see
what I
it.
said.
You
That
said
is
you
not
wanted
what I
Rhea
said.
versus Bianca. He's a
I yeah,
liar. The tape will show it.
I said I was excited about Rhea and Bianca. That's not me saying I didn't want to see Io at all. I was fine with her if it was going to be a triple threat, and I'm assuming that's still what it's going to be. Um, so that's that. But my reaction to the loss, I think, was the same as pretty much everybody else. Like what just happened? Um, and I was happy for Io, obviously, because she's lost a lot. She's had a lot of losses, and
In the ring, you
she's going
mean,
to be able
right?
to. Yeah, in the ring. Yeah, she's in the
Yeah.
ring, and she's going to get to go to WrestleMania. Um, and I'm assuming that this is probably going to be a triple threat. Um, but even if it's just Iyo versus Bianca, it's going to be a tremendous match.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I give I give Triple H a lot of credit for having the guts to do that. You know, this close to WrestleMania, having your biggest women's star lose the title right before WrestleMania,
Yeah.
and kind of throw the title picture into chaos a little bit. I give a lot of credit for that, and yeah, I mean, we'll see how it progresses. I think it was good for Rhea if you're going to do it because I think obviously she's been riding high. She was a champion. She's the top woman, and I like the fact that they kind of played this out like Rhea got too cocky.
Yeah.
Like she started to listen to her own hype, and the whole match she's going through, she's constantly looking at Bianca and talking smack to her, and not focusing on Iyo, kind of maybe not taking her seriously, and it cost her the title, and I like that they kind of framed it as that, as she kind of cost herself that match. So, I think it'll be interesting to see where they go from here if they do have Rhea involved in the match at Mania, or if they don't, and maybe her losing her chance to wrestle at WrestleMania, maybe she has a character change. Maybe she kind of turns into more heelish, a little more brutal. Um, Hard to say, but yeah, it was shocking. I did not expect it at all. Um, and yeah, it definitely it was interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, I like the idea that you get the obligatory title match on a show, well, after pay-per-view or PLE on TV, and you kind of expect the champion to win those matches, but it was a bold decision from Triple H. Gutsy. I like it. I think we need more of that in wrestling because a lot of people don't watch I mean, the numbers show it on either company. A lot of people don't watch the premium live events or they don't watch the pay-per-views. They just watch the TV. So it's, you reward the fans like that. But that is going to do it for this week's episode, guys. Please follow me on Blue Sky. Follow Jordan on Twitter. All my bylines are in the description box below. Like the video. Leave us a comment about your Revolution predictions. If you agree with us, if you don't, let us know what you think about Rhea Ripley losing the title. And please subscribe to the channel. Once again, thank you guys for watching. Talk to him, Jordan.
Top dogs out.